Welcome in, everybody, to Season 5 of the Jacksonville Jaguars franchise. Getting underway today. It is the preseason live stream. The third time I've done this now in the franchise. And we are taking a look at the newest players on this team after an offseason that saw us send wide receiver Eli Arrington just down the road a ways to Miami. The star that was a part of our very first draft class has now moved on. He said he wouldn't re-sign with us. He demanded a trade. So it was time to finally grant him what he wanted and send him somewhere where maybe he can have that production he's looking for and where he can have, everything he could ever want. We've met all his motivations. So what do we do in response then? We, of course, had to replace him. And we have wide receiver Kevin Parker, who was our 10th overall selection in the last draft. And he is going to be debuted today. And we're going to see how easily it is to replace a player like Arrington, who was a dynamic, well-rounded player. I mean, like 20 pounds heavier than Parker with even more athleticism. But really, there are a lot of similarities in their games. They're both catch-and-run threats with above-average athleticism. They can run good routes, good release, good hands. I will compare the ratings. I forgot to make the graphic for this stream. But their day one attributes are not that different. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the live stream here. It is Super Bowl Sunday, so a little pregame show here. I was going to stream this yesterday. And then we have like the biggest PSN outage since 2011 when I was trying to play SOCOM 4 back in the day, which was a bad SOCOM game, and SOCOM 1, 2, and 3 were way better. I would even like to play, if we could bring back Confrontation, I'd be happy. But it's not relevant right now. What's up, Kane? Thoughts on the hiring of Ben Johnson for Chicago, and have you decided who you play in MLB 25? I think it's an exciting move for Chicago, obviously, to have a better play caller, which they've had some pretty rough play callers now the last decade. Adam Gase, Mark Trestman. Trestman might be the best of the last handful of offensive coordinators they've had, but they just keep Matt Nagy. I can't even remember everybody. But it's a bunch of dudes that call like terrible screen passes over and over again. I think Ben Johnson can add a little bit more life to that offense. As far as my MLB 25 team, my strong lean right now is toward the Tampa Bay Rays. Tough division, lower budget, didn't make any splashes here in the offseason. And their stadium situation's kind of interesting as well. Just ate lunch, turning into the GOAT. Appreciate the super chat. Albert, I see you here all the time. Welcome to the first round picks and becoming a member to the channel. Thank you, thank you. All right, so Kevin Parker is going to be a big focus of what we look at today as we go through the 3 preseason games. We are also going to see another receiver in Reuben Ross. He is a more raw but fairly high upside player who is good with the ball in his hands, and we're going to try him as a kick returner right away and try to develop him into a solid playable receiver. I think he projects as just a slot guy, but a slot that can do a lot with the ball in his hands. Then I spent our second first round pick on tight end Thomas Ridley from Colorado. So to spend a first round pick on a normal dev player, obviously disappointing when we traded up for as well. The route running needs a lot of work, and I think like those first 3 to 4 upgrades that will come fairly easily in his career, we really need to get the route running up as much as we can. Kevin Parker's helmet and face mask is glitched. I edited that last night, so he has a different helmet, and I think the face mask that goes along with it. I did see that feedback. I also have new playbook changes for this season. Nothing that is like, drastically different, but the main stuff that I added in was all fullback related stuff. Yeah, here's the helmet. This is like the one I just like the most in this game. I like the contours and Just everything about it, basically. I also changed his glove color because I like when the bands and the glove have a little contrast to them. But we have a new fullback. We have not really utilized one in this series, but we added Dominic Grenard in the 6th round, and we are going to have him be a part of the offense. And because he's a good pass catcher, because he has speed and can block, I want to see if we can utilize that in the offense. And I think that this will allow us to better split the carries between Joe Johnson and Benji Cormier. That way we have like defined stuff that Johnson can do with the fullback in the game, and then Cormier more in the 11 personnel, 3 wide stuff. You're throwing it to the backs more often. And this should, not 50-50 the workload, but definitely split it up more than we already had. So those changes are already in the playbook. We are going to see those today. And then on the defensive side, there aren't a lot of major changes, but we did add a rookie interior lineman in Joseph Bowen. So he is going to be a run stopper that hopefully develops into a more well-rounded player. But then we also moved on from Tyson Campbell, and we're now going to see us play both Ezra Telfer and Stanley Billups. So all 3 of our main cornerbacks are players that I've selected now in the franchise. And with that star dev, this is the audition for Billups to show he can be a long-term starter in this defense. And the plan is to have him play outside, and Telfer is going to still be in the slot this year. But he will also be in, like when we only have 2 cornerbacks on the field, it will be Telfer and J.D. Short. So let's get into some training camp, and then got some games to go through today. These preseasons have been so much fun the last 2 years. I've really enjoyed it. Kevin Parker having the team player personality is the biggest win of the draft. Yeah, that, I don't know if there's any way to see a player's personality before you actually draft them, but I did also take a look at his motivations. Like Eli Arrington, not a huge fan of paying income tax. That's one of his motivations. Another one, warm weather. So we already have 2 of the 3 that are, locked in stone. And then the third motivation for him is like team historical success. So 2 out of 3, that should work to, keep him happy as far as like, contract negotiations. We aren't even close to that right now. But the team player personality, will that make him less likely to complain about the workload? Because if we were only giving Arrington, 1,000 yards a year, hard to see Parker going north of that. But we'll see if we have the same success developing him. Like Arrington opened as a star dev player, became a superstar, and then he wanted to be treated like a superstar. Parker right now looks like a team player, and I'm excited to get a first look at him today. What throwing motion is Chuck Johnson's? I'll have to take a look. Let me back out of this because I'll forget if I wait like 15 minutes. Some of the motivations are funny, and sometimes they don't make any sense. Like a player wanting to be close to home, but also wanting a warm weather state. I think that was the case for Aiden Hutchinson. He wanted to be close to home in Michigan, but then he wanted a warm weather state. So no matter what, one of those deal breakers is going to be unsatisfied, or one of those motivations is unsatisfied. All right, Chuck Johnson, let's see. What motion is it? The funniest thing I've seen was a guy with close to home as his main when he was from Alaska or Hawaii. If you're close to home is Alaska and you're in like Seattle, because that's as close as you're going to get, I wonder what that even grades out as, like a C? 3/4 is the throwing motion here for Chuck Johnson. I also like to see motivations for players change throughout their careers, and the same is true for like in college football 25. I would prefer to see players, maybe right away they want to play for a certain type of coach or a certain type of program, but later on in their career, I think they should be focused on like championship contender, playing time as a major one, especially if they're seniors. I want the game to find a way to be a little bit tougher, so you can't just stash all these players on your your depth chart over the years. I would like more ways to have the game be a little more difficult. Wasn't Arrington a team player archetype? His personality is unpredictable. But after a while, his personality became extremely predictable because he just complained every time he had the opportunity. Three quarters, 5. Would you change that about me? I wouldn't change anything about Chuck Johnson. He has brought this franchise to new heights. Of course, we have yet to win double-digit games in a season. We just lost our star playmakers, so there are still a lot of levels for us to get. 2 years ago, 9-8 did not get us in the playoffs. Last year, it happened to. And now, what happens this season? I think I'm in love with Big Papa Chuck. Everybody loves Chuck Johnson, for the most part. What are the Panthers going to do with Trevor now? With the Saints signing Hurts, they made Friedman expendable, so they traded him, which I want to see the compensation on that, by the way. But I wonder now if they end up putting Trevor Lawrence on the trade block, but I don't imagine he would be traded in season. Because taking on that cap hit during the year, there might be 2 teams that could do it. Because we already traded Trevor, so it's not like he has an existing signing bonus that the Panthers are on the hook for. Whoever trades for Trevor would be on the hook for everything. All right, I can just run the clock out now. Chuck Johnson getting the career Big Papa deserved? Oh, for sure. That late round success story is not something I've really had on these series. It's nice to have a different blueprint for team success. Obviously, things could change between now and, say we get to year 8, year 9. What does the Chuck Johnson experience evolve into when we eventually have to pay him and everything? Maybe then it is a little bit different. Let's get our new tight end, Thomas Ridley, here for the red zone attack one. The helmet Chuck wears is a little bit older, so maybe give him a speed flex or the Vicious 2. Is that how you say that one? I'll have to take a look at the helmet. Ooh, that's separation. We'll take it. Last time you had a late-round superstar was in the Tampa Bay series. Which position, though? I'm thinking, when I think about late-round success stories in there, I shouldn't be slipping his, forgetting his name right now, the running back. I know I'll feel foolish by the time someone pops in with it. But we had a really good running back success story, Ellis Norton, of course, 6th-round running back. And, developing these late-round running backs in Madden is not the way it should be. In real life, you can have the right situation. A guy like a Phillip Lindsay comes in, runs for 1,000 yards. James Robinson, these guys pop up every other year, it seems, and they have no issue stepping in and producing like veterans or high-level players. And that doesn't really happen in Madden. You plug in a 72, he's going to have 3.4 yards a carry unless you are playing the game, manually. And then you can have success with, pretty much anybody. You're not limited by the sim engine. But because of the way we do our series, it's especially difficult to see normal dev, low 70 players ever become starters. Not impossible, but it feels like it. You could get a dev trait if you get gold. Yeah, that is rare, but it can happen. But also, what is rare is me actually getting gold. I don't just do the drills until I get there. I usually do it until I get a medal. Trying to get behind him here. Nope. See, the thing is, too, is I'm guarded by a pretty good corner, so it doesn't make it any easier. All right, I'm going for that 3. Just kidding. The 4. Nice! Didn't even get silver, though. If his cleats are mismatched, I'll fix it, but I thought I edited that and had it taken care of. All right, pocket protector. I think the player that I'm putting a lot of our development attention on is Jelani Swain. Best blend, I think, of, skills and age right now to develop him into a long-term tackle for this team. Do you normally try to see which numbers are retired by teams or were worn by team legends and avoid giving those out? In a lot of cases, yes, but I'm definitely not perfect or consistent about it. The Jags are a young franchise, so I don't even think they have a retired number. If they do, it might be like Tony Baselli or something like that, and it's in the 70s, and I wouldn't be aware. But generally, if it's a retired, but most of you probably are aware that I'm not a huge, retire number guy. So I'm more likely to reuse a number wore by a star as long as, I use that number as almost a symbol, the way the Cowboys use the number 88 for all the receivers over the years. Drew Pearson, Michael Irvin, Des Bryant, CeeDee Lamb have all wore 88. And I think that is a better way to handle numbers than just locking them away and adding another number that you can't use to the list. But is 71 and 28 retired? Was Fred Taylor 28? Yeah, 28. I know we have a running back with 28 on the team too. Can you stop taking 80 numbers away from receivers? Every now and then, when there is a dynamic guy, I'm like, you're not getting something in the teens, you're getting 84. Just because of Randy Moss. I think 84 still needs to be a receiver number. The Vikings' usage of 84 isn't my favorite. I don't necessarily think they have to retire numbers. But they've handed it out like candy over the years. I mean, all the players that have wore 84 since Randy Moss wore it include Michael Jenkins, Bucky Hodges, Cordero Patterson. I save 80s for slower receivers. Yeah, 86 is a big possession receiver number. If you're a 5'9" slot guy, you probably shouldn't be wearing 86. But if you have speed in the 80s and you just catch 9-yard passes, 86 is really that's your number. Yeah, I'm restarting. They some of these drills are just ridiculous. Sorry I had to do it to you, Chuck. Have I considered doing a fantasy draft and taking low-level players? I like doing fantasy draft stuff. I think from a team building standpoint, though, you have to put in some sort of rules. Because if you, take a terrible fantasy draft team, there's nothing stopping you from, using all your money in free agency. That's one of the things is, in college, it's more interesting to take an awful team and rebuild them because there are more levels and less ways to skip progress as far as upgrading your team. In the NFL, the worst team is rewarded the #1 pick. In college, the worst team has no advantage because they lost. So you have to put stuff in place to keep you from just like being bad. And then you get cap space plus #1 pick. And then boom, 2 years later, you are, fixed. And it's not because you earned it. It's just the tools that are available to you. Guesses on where Garrett, Kupp, and Debo end up. Really good question. So Garrett, I think he's going to want, obviously, more of a reliable Super Bowl contender. As badly as I wouldn't want this to happen, I could see a team like Green Bay shelling out, a first-round pick plus something to get him. I think especially, too, like they haven't had as much impact from some of their pass rushers the last couple of years. Not bad impact, but I don't think that they've gotten the elite stuff. And if they could swing it, I think Garrett to Green Bay would be, a pretty good match. For Cooper Kupp, I would say Minnesota's a possibility. They don't have like a solidified wide receiver 3, and there's familiarity with Kevin O'Connell, and I don't think I'm not sure what Kupp's market's going to look like, because I don't anticipate anyone trading for him, because if that's the case, the Vikings are not trading for him. But if he's a free agent, I don't know what his market is. Is it 2 years, $30 million? 2 years, $25 million? I think that there's a massive market for Kupp. And so that could drive up a free agent bidding war. And then Debo. Ooh. Debo. Where do I think he could be utilized well? I think, like, I'd like to see him in Miami's offense. A bit of a change up from the type of receivers they usually have that are, like, pure speed guys. Whereas Debo, I think, can do a lot of the stuff they do in that offense, especially as it transitioned to a lot more underneath and catch and run style offense. I don't think he'll go to Miami, but that's like a spot I think would be fun to see him. Debo to the Chargers, I would love that. Yes, I like Debo in an offense that is creative in their run game, because that's where I think misdirection and the stuff you do in the passing game better complements. So like the Green Bay offense would also be really good for Debo. An offense like the Vikings I don't think would be a good fit. Yeah, I don't like these cornerback drills whatsoever. It's just unnatural playing man coverage. The controls and everything just... You gotta play zone. It's like stopping a penalty kick in soccer. You just have to, like, guess where they're gonna go and commit to it. Thoughts on the MVP? I'm not surprised that Josh wins it. I think that he and Lamar both had really good resumes, but I think there's definitely an effort to, have the award go to someone different every now and then. Like Tom Brady could have been a 12-time MVP, but he wasn't. Bill Belichick could have been a 12-time Coach of the Year, and he wasn't. Did Belichick ever win Coach of the Year? I mean, I'm sure he did early in the 2000s, but I won't remember. I'm going to try this one more time. See, if I could just cover a tight end, I might have a chance. Come on, KP. Did Barkley win Offensive Player of the Year? Bill won in 03, 07, and 2010. Had to do it in 2010 because they had the undefeated regular season. 03 and 07 were those both Super Bowl winning years. I was actually a little bit, obviously pleasantly surprised, but I wasn't sure if Jared Allen would ever make it into the Hall of Fame. So I was super excited to see that. I wasn't sure if he would be more Hall of Very Good territory, but he racked up a lot of sacks in his career, had a 20-sack season under his belt, bunch of All-Pros and Pro Bowls, so I expected a longer wait for him to make it. Yeah, I saw Surtain had Defensive Player of the Year. I didn't watch the awards or anything. It's just, I saw that, the winners are awarded today. Oh, I think that the MVP and the Coach of the Year, I think sometimes the train of thought is about the same. Like, Lamar does get penalized for having good teammates because, they had Derrick Henry in this amazing running game. And although Lamar was arguably the best he's been in the regular season, which, you said the same thing last year, he was MVP. This year, again, he was outstanding. But just like Coach of the Year, it's really what coach ended up surpassing expectations in the best way possible. Like, Kevin O'Connell's Coach of the Year this season, I thought he should have been Coach of the Year his first year in Minnesota over Daboll. But I guess the voters that year thought the Giants, winning 9 games or whatever it was that year was more impressive than the Vikings winning 13. I think that, people were knocking the Vikings that year for being frauds and all their one-score wins. But, part of the reason they had all those wins was because of coaching, game-winning drives drawn up by the head coach. They didn't roll a dice and win those games. He had to call the plays and help engineer game-winning drives again and again. That should help his resume, not hurt. But he got one this year, so whatever. They didn't win a playoff game either year, so. Not that the playoffs affect these awards, but it is what it is. Yep, we're starting the preseason games here right after I simulate through training. Was just taking care of our training camp stuff there, and then we got to choose our focus players, which I'm cool with those top 4. I want to continue boosting our left tackle. There he is, Jelani Swain. And then I'm also going to give a boost to running back Benji Cormier. And I might cycle players in and out of this throughout the season. I don't see how people think Lamar's weapons are so much better than Josh's. It's mainly Henry. Also, give me Isaiah Likely over Dalton Kincaid. I'm a big Isaiah Likely fan. And give me Rashad Bateman over Khalil Shakir. Different roles, but I was really happy to see Bateman have... I felt like Bateman kind of broke out this year. What were his numbers? I feel like he had like a 700, 800-yard season. What were your numbers, Bateman? 756, 9 touchdowns. In a run-heavy offense, that's pretty solid. Like, what is the percentage of teams that take a first-round tight end and are, like, glad they did that? Right now, that's the Raiders. Like, they're happy they took Brock Bowers. But I'm trying to think of any other first-round tight end where that team 3 years later is like, yeah, we should have done that. Like, even TJ Hawkinson, who I think is a borderline top 5 tight end, drafted by the Lions. I don't think they got the return of an 8th overall pick for doing that. David Njoku, I think that's a hit. Actually, I think the first couple years it didn't look like as much of a hit, and now I think Njoku is a top 3 to 4 tight end. So that's a hit. But Kyle Pitts, no. Eric Ebron, no. I think the majority of these first-round tight ends, like, the dreaming people do, I will never listen to someone again who says that a tight end is going to change the position or be like this athletic, unguardable mismatch. Like, obviously, size adjusted, there are impressive athletes at tight end, but athleticism at the position, I think, has shown to not be a needle mover in the NFL enough, as defenses have gotten more athletic and guys just do not put up the production anybody's expecting. Eric Ebron, Kyle Pitts, O.J. Howard, I ain't falling for it again. The receivers on your teams are probably more athletic. Yeah, Tyler Warren's going to be the player that gets hyped up this year, and maybe he deserves it, maybe he doesn't, but I know the first-round tight end is like, during the offseason, people lose their minds. They think a tight end's going to come in and change the world, and after Brock Bowers is successful, you know, maybe that adds some fuel to it. But I'm just not in. I know I drafted a first-round tight end this year in this series, which I'm not even a huge fan of doing most of the time. All right. New playbook. I can't wait to see some of the new stuff in here. If you wouldn't mind leaving a like on the stream, I'd appreciate that. And subscribe if you haven't already. Hayden Hurst drafted before Lamar and Mark Andrews as a 25-year-old tight end. I mean, if you just think, I'm drafting a tight end in the 20s. He is 25 years old. What needs to happen for this to be a successful move, for us to be happy we did it? I think that bar is so much higher, like, than you're going to get most of the time. Yeah, and a lot of the guys that break out, they're not early round guys. And that's been a long-running trend. It's not like wide receiver, where usually the best receivers are first-round picks. The best tight ends are rarely first-round picks. I think the most overrated trait at receiver, I'm not saying it's unvaluable, but the most overrated trait at tight end is hands down athleticism. It creates expectations these players can't meet. Brandon Pettigrew to the Lions didn't work either. When was Pettigrew taken? Because I'm thinking of him as second or third rounder. Is he 39 years old? That's ridiculous. He was a first round pick. For some reason, I thought he was drafted a few years later than he was. All right, guys, we are playing some preseason football finally. We're opening with the defense. Wow, that guy's got some juice. Who is that? Barrett. Gain of 12. No, it's certainly not. Athleticism always is a plus, especially this time of year because, like, the players already had their seasons. All that happens now really is the combine, where athleticism is the main driver of draft stock late in the process. You know, a player tests better than you thought they would. A player tests worse than you thought they would. A player is top 5% at his position in this drill. So that obviously moves the stock one way or another, but it doesn't always correlate with success in the league. I would say that very low athleticism correlates with lack of success, but very high athleticism, you know, is still hit or miss. Who's the backup quarterback this year? Baker Mayfield. So defensively, the main thing to keep an eye on this year is we've made changes in the secondary and are lower rated than we were last year, not having Tyson Campbell out there. We take like a 7-point hit in overall, but we have youth on our side. Pretty young secondary. Third and 2. What is that? Either way, it did not work. Let's get to the offense here and get a look at some of the new players on that side of the football. So, Kevin Parker wears number 3. And he is not out there right away. He's going to be in the slot. But we do open with the fullback on the field. And that's when Joe Johnson is going to get stuffed for a loss. I just want to see what happened on this play. Super Bowl prediction. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that a little bit. Sam Cosmi, not a great first rep here in preseason. Our 90 overall guard. So I think most of the couple weeks here leading up to the game, I've been thinking about like the Chiefs just, you know, finding a way to win. And maybe that's the most likely result. I think the Eagles present, obviously, a ton of challenges to anybody. But I'm really curious if this becomes a higher scoring game if it does favor Philadelphia. No, I wanted to see the Chiefs show they could win a higher scoring game against the Bills, and they were able to. I'm really curious about what the Eagle defense can do to throw off KC, because I know the Eagles secondary has been far improved this year, but I really don't care about secondary when we're talking about the Chiefs. Because Mahomes, sure, you can cover, but he can extend the play and he can find a way, you know, as someone breaks open to throw it sidearm and make things happen that way. Kelsey uncovers in the middle of the field. So I think it comes down to, much like it did in the Super Bowl they had against Tampa, can Philly's front four impact the game? Can they force Mahomes to play by their rules instead of them playing by Mahomes' rules? Can they contain him in the pocket, not allow him to extend plays as often? That's where I think this potentially gets the most interesting. I think because the Eagles are probably going to run the ball a lot, I do think it ends up being a lower scoring game. And that's where I think it favors the Chiefs. If it's a one-score game in the fourth quarter, they tend to find a way on those gotta-have-it possessions. So I think the Eagles are in a situation where they want to run the ball, but I don't think they really want to shorten this game and limit the possessions as much, because I think a longer, more drawn-out game could allow what they do well in the trenches to have a better chance at wearing down Kansas City. So I do like the Eagles matchup-wise, but if it's a one-score game in the fourth quarter, and there's no reason it shouldn't be, you don't want Mahomes with the ball less than 5 minutes to go, you know. Jalen Carter needs to be the best player. if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, what does the MVP look like? I think Jalen Carter would have very high odds if the Eagles win, especially in a lower scoring game. You know, maybe 3 or 4 combined touchdowns. Nope, Trayvon Walker is not superstar dev for us any longer. He's down to star. There we go. Devin Lloyd, sacks Love. I don't think the starters are going to play much of this first game as Green Bay's eating up our time. Saquon MVP to complete the story. Yeah, like if we think about right now, I don't know what the odds say, but if I had to think about the Eagles and their like Super Bowl MVP odds, like obviously quarterback's always going to be high. So like Saquon, Hurts, I would have like Jalen Carter as my third option there. Because I don't see A.J. Brown going for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns and him being the MVP. I just don't think that the passing volume is there for any of their receivers to break out as MVP. I think it would have to go to the defense then, and I do not think it would be someone in the secondary, as much improved as that unit is. Unless Cooper DeJean catches 2 interceptions, it's far more likely to be someone up front. All right, Chuck Johnson across the middle. There's Brian Thomas again for 9. Now we go up the middle, and Joe Johnson. Look how easily he can rip off a 10-plus yard run. It seems we're using a lot of the stuff with Johnson in the game here on first down. Got some play action off of it. A couple opportunities, too, to potentially throw it to the fullback. Score prediction? I'm thinking like 24-21 type of game. Little overlapping there with Wicks and Kevin Parker. So 2 new receivers. 3rd and 10, and wide open is Kevin Parker. First down. Hoping to see him put up a big rookie season. Could he have the Eli Arrington career arc of starting off as a first-round star dev receiver with this skill set and going on to win Rookie of the Year? Is it time to finally see another instance of the Super Bowl MVP being on the losing team? I wonder if there are like safeguards in place to even keep that from happening. It's so strange because like when is the voting for MVP done? Isn't it like midway through the 4th quarter or something? I can't remember exactly. 3rd and 4, and Johnson has the first. I remember, like, in the old Maddens on the PS2, they would do the MVP when the game wasn't over yet. So they would, like, pop up a graphic. It would say, you know, so-and-so's MVP with, like, 30 seconds on the clock. It's like, they might not even win the game. Do you have relocation setting on or off? I think it's off right now. Sometimes late in these series, I like to turn it on just to see if anything happens. All right, we have changed units. So now Baker Mayfield is the quarterback, and he'll settle it down, and Julian Singh breaks the tackle and then breaks the plane for the touchdown. Julian Singh fighting for the last receiver spot. I'd like to make some depth chart adjustments. So I don't want to use the young running backs too much here in the preseason with the backups. So I'm kind of interested here. I added Joey Howard as not an undrafted player, but like a last-minute signing because I wanted someone who just had like more speed than anybody else in the backfield, higher acceleration. So Let's see what that speed does in the backfield. And then I really want to get a look at Reuben Ross as a receiver. I think we could also give Kevin Parker more playing time here just to get him reps and experience. Thomas Ridley, number 83. I don't think will open the year as a starter. Maybe the number 2. And I'm trying to get him, experience and a good look at what he can do. We don't need to see Martin Cooper play here, so I signed a couple backup edge rushers that can take up those snaps. And then we have DeAndre Rowe. Yeah, I'll probably give extra snaps to Bowen, too, as I try to prepare him to be a starter. And maybe some extra snaps, too, for Billups, because he needs the development. I appreciate all the super chats, guys. Let me get caught up here in a moment. Chuck Dalton. Yeah, we'll throw Will Levy in there, sure. All right. Appreciate the super chats, everybody. I'm 15 minutes behind, but the reason Allen won MVP was because of voter fatigue. I kind of talked about that a little bit. It's hard to see a guy winning it 3 times in, like a 5-year span or whatever it is in Lamar's case. I think there is a desire from the voters to spread out awards. I think when you win it once, too, like teams want to see either a couple-year gap or they want to see you win it in a different way. If Lamar had, ran less and thrown 35-plus touchdowns or something, maybe that would have been new enough for the voters, but it's the way it is. Got a notification that Aaron Rodgers is officially expected to move on from the Jets. Yeah, I think that's kind of had the writing on the wall, and I don't think there's any reason to kick off a new regime with, another year of Rodgers because you're still not really establishing, I think, your new spin on the team if you keep him around. And Rodgers has only been with the Jets for 1 year as a player, on field. So I don't think there's any reason to stick with him when you know he's about to retire anyway. Short run to the right. I know you got a lot on your plate with all the series, but ever thought about posting football podcasts? I have thought about it for the NFL season. Maybe I'll have to see if I have the time to take it on. I don't know if I would I don't want to record a podcast and do it that way, but more so come on and stream and either do a recap show or a preview show. That's what I think would be fun. Down the middle, intercepted. He wanted Parker. I like Baker taking the chance there, trying to give Parker a playmaking opportunity. But I think either Mondays to come on and recap the NFL Sunday or to come on Fridays and preview the upcoming Sunday would be a fun way to tackle it. And it's something I'm thinking about for the next year. I think 41 touchdowns and 4 picks is new enough. I'm not saying he didn't deserve it, but because he won last year, the requirements from the voters to give it to him again, the bar just goes up. And then him not winning it this year, the bar will go down. Every year, with Lamar playing this well, I think the Ravens are the team to beat in the postseason, and then It's always Kansas City in the Super Bowl anyway. Like 2 weeks ago, the Ravens were my pick for the Super Bowl. And my entire thought, too, is like, all the Ravens really have to do is get there. Because the NFC already has an awful record against Lamar. These teams never face him. And so there's no familiarity. It's an offense that, no one else is quite like the Ravens. If they get to the Super Bowl, they're going to win. The hard part's getting there. Mayfield, downfield, and that is going to be a breakaway for the young tight end inside the 20. Thomas Ridley for 70 yards. All right, that can help justify a first-round pick if you can put together those kinds of plays, because that is special. That'll make the next episode for sure. I mean, LeBron could have won 12 straight MVPs, of course. Aaron Rodgers could have won, he actually went back-to-back, which is really tough to pull off. But Aaron Rodgers could have won 5 in a row if you wanted to. The play action on second down. Here he goes, Baker. Not as dynamic as he once was. Four on the rush. Coming across the middle. A touchdown. How about Caleb Davis? We got these lower on the depth chart receivers really making a case. That's an impressive play. A short route like that and doesn't even end up making contact with them. Good stuff. I mean, like, it's obvious that the voting isn't, like, there's the criteria and how it's done is obviously messy. Because the Player of the Year and MVP awards are usually different players. Like, because you win the MVP, you're not going to be Offensive Player of the Year. And it's become basically that MVP is a quarterback award and Offensive Player of the Year is a skill award. I'm not sure 94 speed has ever looked slower than that play right there. Mayfield pressured. Come on, Howard, show us something. He did have a missed tackle. Third and 5. Nice grab, Caleb Davis. That's how you make the team. Up the middle, Joey Howard wants to bounce it. He just seems kind of indecisive, though. I'm giving him this drive, and then I'd rather see a little bit more of C.J. Merriweather, who's out there now. Merriweather wears number 32. Oh boy, Baker! Third down and 14, pressured again. Man, 94 is eating us up. It's going to get us to the fourth quarter. Oh, that's a big touchdown. I might want to actually see who 94 is because we can't block him. Joey Howard, 10 rushes, 19. Yeah, after this play, let me pull up 94's information. He just looks massive and unblockable. He wins again. Caught! Reuben Ross. All right. Is he a starter that's just out there because of the way the depth chart gets handled? 94 is Damian McLaughlin as 67 as far as the rush right end rating. So his actual rating is a 69. He's 27 years old. 78 speed, 83 strength. And rating-wise, 76 power. But he's a preseason superstar. I'm going to have to keep my eye on him. Joey Howard. A better run of 7. What's the Jags playbook? It's a Jaguars base, but I have been like tweaking it every year. So it's starting to look, you know, different and different. It's custom. Oh. I usually throw it up on the Madden share every year if you'd like to utilize it. This year I added more I formation and offset I, where we have more power runs, some play action, and incorporating our new fullback, essentially. It's Baker on first down, and it's knocked down, intended for Kevin Parker. I wish on these deep balls in both Madden and college football that they just put more air under it. Go give him a chance. Dumped off. And that's Ridley. Where does Rodgers go? Teams in the veteran quarterback market this year on the slant, Davis. Cleveland, to me, is the most obvious, like, veteran quarterback landing spot. Steelers, also. I don't think New Orleans. I assume they're just going to let it ride here with more Derek Carr. I'm not even sure where the out in his contract is, but I would assume it's not for another year. And, yeah, the Saints, they just need to just take the year finally, balance the budget, and just chill out. The Raiders, I think, are, you know, a candidate for a bridge quarterback. And like, there might be a team that takes quarterback in the top 10. Not regarded as a great quarterback class this year, which to me means that they should be good candidates for a bridge, even if it's a guy like Rodgers who ends up playing the whole year. If this isn't the best class, then don't be afraid to draft a guy high and sit him all season. Rank your top 5 players from all your series. That is like an extremely difficult question. Top 5. Like, who immediately comes to mind? I got like Boogie Turner with all the series he's been part of. Got Trayvon Randolph from the Titans series. Having a receiver like that, he's one of the most unique players I've had across any series. Perry Cummings. You know, there are certain positions where I'm like, all right, past running backs, and there's the same guy coming to mind every time. Perry Cummings, Trayvon Randolph, Boogie Turner. We already have the start of a really good top 5. Nate Bell in the Jags series. Airing it out. Oh, it's knocked down. Leon Daniels, not for being the best player of all time, but he's one of the most memorable for me. You know, there were a lot of, like, things I learned doing these series about doing content and what it's like to do this. And like the creation of Leon Daniels was entirely like because of those that watched the series. I attempted to cut him, but just seeing the type of storylines and the fun in the series that can evolve organically, that's when it's, to me, was like, all right, we got something special here. The entire, chat and the viewers have latched onto this player that we can't cut. They're, creating all these folklore stories about him, and he's just becoming a channel legend in a totally different way. And then I bring him back into future series. I give him a little bit of playing time, and the legend grows from there. I think that is what makes me, enjoy that story so much. And usually in that case, it's like that was the first instance of it happening. There have been other players that the chat just gets, attached to that aren't big-time players. But that was the first time it happened, so it stands out more. Rodgers to the Giants makes sense if he loves New York. Potentially. I mean, I think that a coaching staff that feels desperate might be willing to make a move like that, although it didn't help Robert Saleh. Across the middle, a very productive day for Caleb Davis. I mean, 9 for 103. 9 catches. As like a 72, 73 overall receiver. I don't think Rodgers gets signed, to be honest. I think that's an interesting take. Could there just be no market for Aaron Rodgers? It's almost, difficult to comprehend, but isn't it possible? Over the middle, Reuben Ross hauling in some late catches. Now it goes to Kevin Parker. I like the way Baker's getting our young guys the ball. Because, think about it, too. Rodgers is not just going to sign up for $10 million this year. I don't see that happening. So, I think, already teams might be a little skeptical of signing him. But I don't think you're getting him at any kind of a discount. And it's going to also be an offseason where there are other quarterbacks available that might fit the whole bridge or veteran role. Say Kirk Cousins is out there. Justin Fields, more of like a second chance starting capacity. Russell Wilson. There will be options that teams might pick over him. That again is Ridley, and now 4th down. And we're just going to kick the field goal and probably go to the end of the game. Okay, but same front office picked Daniel Jones over Saquon. No one accused the Giants of being a well-oiled machine here. I forgot about Kirk. I think he'll go to the Steelers. See, I'm kind of thinking Cleveland with the Stefanski familiarity. Chances Rodgers goes to the Vikings. I would put it chances. I would say, what are the odds that Darnold signs elsewhere and McCarthy is injured again? Less than 5%? I do believe the Vikings are prepared to basically hand the team over to J.J. McCarthy. Yeah, this rushing game was terrible. We got to work on that. A lot of good stuff in the pass game, though, from these guys today. All right, 1 down. Darnold to Indy just sounds right. I think Indy's going to let it ride with Anthony Richardson. Like, they have to take QB2 seriously. He's missed a ton of time, and if he doesn't play well, you need someone to hand the team off to. But I don't know if Darnold's signing up for that type of situation. I think it's more likely he signs with the Steelers. They don't take a first-round quarterback, and it's like a 3-year contract. Not that I think that's a likely situation, but I would say it's more likely. Can I show my sliders? That's the beauty of these series, man. All pro. I ain't touching the sliders. Outside of the kicking penalties here because they're ridiculous. Injuries is at 30. Field goal accuracy. I think we could play around with this one a little bit more. You guys want to try 38 this year? Otherwise, though, default all pro has been the magic sauce since I've been doing these series since the Browns franchise rebuild. Let's see what the OC has to say. How many total plays are you getting with 11 minutes as of right now? Still like 105, 115, somewhere in that range. About what teams are getting when you're simulating. Yeah, I don't think, like, the penalty sliders are tricky because in the testing I've seen and follow, like, penalties can have an impact on actual gameplay and just different things that happen within the engine. So I don't advise just tweaking penalties like, oh, I want more holding calls, so I'm putting holding up. I don't recommend following it that way. Madden's slider system is extremely antiquated, and each slider changes too many moving parts to treat it that way. Saints have negative cap room. Yep, they're going to have to let old Mickey do his thing again this offseason somehow. Darnold to the Saints. I don't know if they can afford it. And any over-under fantasy picks. I haven't, I got to take a look at some props because some over-unders because I got to have something to be interested in this game. Kyler tough. Sometimes he looks amazing. Sometimes terrible. Yeah, I generally like Kyler Murray. But late season Kyler worries me. Year in and year out. Saquon Barkley, 114.5 rushing yards. That's a lot. That's a lot to just say as a median projection on a player. 115 is like top 5 percentile outcome for the majority of running back starters. For Saquon, it's another day. Here's my question. If Saquon gets to 115... how many carries does it take to get there? Can Kansas City prevent the big play and kind of keep him in check? Because I'm of the mind that the Eagles are going to be able to run the ball. 10. Hey, if there's his patented 65-yarder in there, then 10 is a good mark. His projected carries in this game, by the way, as Johnson hits Curtis easily. They got Saquon for 21.5 carries, 114.5 yards. So his efficiency projection off of that is 5.3 yards a carry. They are anticipating that he will have pretty good success or at least be buoyed by a long run of some kind. Chuck Johnson on first down. Little dump off. And that is our new veteran receiver, Dontavian Wicks. Saquon's longest projected run, as Johnson gets picked off, wanting Kevin Parker. That was rough. I'm trying to find his projected longest run, 23.5. That seems low, man. That seems low to me. Because, like, when Saquon breaks one, it's probably not going to be 13 yards. When he breaks it, he's going to make it count. So the question is, does Saquon get a 10-plus, 15-plus yard run? He'll probably go for, like, 50. I'm a new subscriber. Been watching your videos for about 2 weeks. Love the content. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear I can still attract some new viewers. You have joined at the right time when it comes to the Jags franchise. I think this is a stronger series from just a pure enjoyment episode to episode standpoint than my last few franchises. And I'm pretty sure most watching a preseason live stream will vouch for that. I'm curious what Spag's game plan is going to be today. Oh, a fumble recovery. Let's go. I'm really curious. You know, Spags is known for his third down deception, the blitzes he brings. I mean, bringing the boundary corner against Josh Allen on that last play. I mean, what a time to call that. I don't think he calls that blitz if the Bills weren't on that. The Bills were on the right hash. So the field on that side is condensed. It's easier to blitz the corner then. If they were in the middle or on the left hash, I don't think he sends that blitz. Because he knows that, like, Allen was going to see it. It was going to be in his field of view. And it was, like, the perfect time to bust that out. McDuffie is going to have a strip sack to win the game. I love Trent McDuffie. I like to see him have a big game today. The Raiders series had potential story-wise, but I moved too slowly as Johnson's going to air it out. Oh, Thomas! Wow! I think the defender contacted the ball. That had the trajectory, though. When it's thrown like that, I know we might have something. Nope, he had it the whole time. The Stockton story in the Raiders series was interesting, but it wasn't interesting enough to be drawn out the way it was. And because it never evolved to the point where he was this successful, playoff winning quarterback with us, there's Parker now. We basically stayed in the same story arc for far too long. So looking back, it looks egregious that I went that slow. But part of it was that I was expecting things to change and I wanted to be there, to catch everything that happened. Kevin Parker! One-handed snag. Eagles can't let the refs decide the outcome or they lose. You don't want to leave it up to them, for sure. You got to protect the football. You got to, get sevens and not threes. Johnson! He finds him. Touchdown, Wicks. That drive began at the 2, and it was a lot of fun to watch. Wow. Just joined any standouts so far. Definitely Tavon. Caleb Davis at wide receiver had a 9-catch game in preseason game 1. Looked awesome. I think we've seen good highlights out of the first-round picks, Kevin Parker and Thomas Ridley. Baker Mayfield has even looked good, just spreading the ball around to all of our young playmakers. In this game, I'd like to see a little bit more out of the running game, but that just hasn't really been the focus yet. Why would I have Wicks wear a different number? He's a possession receiver. He gets the boring 80 number. That's the way it should be. Even Chris Carter wore 80. '86 is gross. 86 is like what an average speed tight end is supposed to wear, right? A tight end who catches 44 passes for 412 yards wears 86. Andre Johnson wore 80. Maybe I have to break out the number 80 because it does have a really good track record at wide receiver. Some great Hall of Fame players. As a relative newcomer to football, the number lore is very confusing. I know, it's something you'll only understand with time. But even the great John Madden, there's an awesome interview of him talking about numbers and like how different numbers fit certain players. And it's a really good clip. I recommend you checking it out. He's talking about like 88 being a tall number, so you need to be a tall guy. Talking about the numbers that guards should be wearing. Like 62. It's a play fake. And a laser to the sideline, St. Brown. I was super disappointed when Greg Dortch ditched 83. Hey, he's trying to prolong his career, okay? Who knows what Vic Beasley could have done if he didn't pick 44 as a rookie? You got to pick the right number. Randy Moss wore 81. See, Moss wore a few different numbers throughout his career. 84 in Minnesota, 18 with the Raiders, 81 with the Patriots. All of his best years were in the 80s. I'm pretty sure he wore... What did Moss wear in San Francisco? Because I don't remember him as much with San Francisco. It was 1 year, I think. Was it 84? In like his 14th season? And then the Titans. What do you wear with the Titans? I think he played with Tennessee for maybe 4 games. How many career catches does Randy Moss have with the Titans? Over, under 4.5? Let's see. Randy Moss wore 84 with the Titans because he played for 3 teams in 2010. I need to find specifically his Titans stats. Did he ever score a touchdown in Tennessee? 6 catches for 80 yards and no touchdowns in apparently 8 games he was active. Veterans and joining the Titans, a tale as old as time. Yeah, Nashville's like is that like a retirement hotspot? I appreciate that, Spirit. I also enjoy watching some Bengal from time to time. 3rd and 2. What a catch, Kevin Parker. I like what I see early on from the rookie. Kupp will be a Titan next season, confirmed. The thing is, Cooper Kupp is just a good route runner, can play inside, play outside. He fits every single offense. There's not like a specific place that I think fits better than another, the way I think Deebo Samuel fits certain schemes better than others. And the demand for playmaker is so high that there are going to be a lot of teams potentially interested. 3rd and 4. Wide open, Dontavian Wicks. Quick review of what's happened so far. Right now, the offense has really been the star of the show. We've had Caleb Davis have a big game 1, a 70-yard catch from rookie Thomas Ridley. And Kevin Parker has flashed some really nice catches in traffic, a one-hander. So the young playmakers are playing well. Over the middle, it's a touchdown. Curtis Easley scores easily. But I want to mix some things up here a little bit with the starting unit. And I want to get Thomas Ridley more of those starting reps. Pairing up Kupp and McConkey would be a fun tandem. I think the Chargers are a pretty good landing spot. And he wouldn't have to move. It would be like a Shohei Ohtani situation, although I know the Angels and Dodgers don't play like... What's the difference between the ballparks there? What is it? A couple hour drive? Give or take traffic? I don't actually know. Okay, so now I'm really curious. $31 miles. That's it. A couple hours maybe during rush hour. 40 miles. Right now, it's 40 minutes to get from Angels Stadium to Dodgers Stadium. I thought it was a little bit further. Injuries, man, they can definitely impact this next season. I'm glad you're still with us here, Zombie. Sorry to hear about that. In the last 10 minutes, Curtis Easley caught a nice touchdown. And now I'm giving him a rest. You know, they laid out a little bit of a blueprint for new stuff in the show this year. Road to the Show looks really cool. I might actually have to check it out because they have high school and college in Road to the Show. And then for franchise, they were advertising changes to free agency. So they didn't actually detail this stuff yet, but more so gave us bullet points about new things in the game. So I'm looking forward to it. I love playing the show. I'm just like dying for more off-the-field depth and improvements. I have no concerns about the gameplay. I love playing the show. It is one of my desert island games. If I were on an island, 5 games to play rest of my life, and at least I have the ability to play some games. Like, definitely, I need MLB The Show. Up the middle, Joe Johnson. If Easley plays the full year, do you think he's still gone? I think it becomes a year-to-year situation. And also how good, like, our other tight ends develop. There goes Johnson flying. Maybe save it for when the games count, though. They threw Madden 25 on Game Pass, for real? I shouldn't be too surprised by that. Later in the process, oh, it is Ridley inside the 5. But late in the year, I don't think these companies are too worried about selling the sports game as they are selling microtransactions. Because at this point, I mean, their sales kind of are what they are. I'm not sure Like, sports games generally sell really well, but I don't know the breakdown of how many buy it the first 3 months it's out versus the next 3 months. I'm guessing most of it is very, very early with nice touchdown, Joe Johnson. A good bit probably for the holiday season and the first major sales. But as far as games sold right now, sports-wise, I'd have to think it drops significantly like a rock. I think by the time something goes to Game Pass, they are no longer worried about actual, like, sales numbers. All right, so in the second half, do we go to... Yeah, the backups are in for a full half now. All right, so I would like to get more of a look at Caleb Merriweather and see if I still prefer him to potentially Joey Howard, who I thought did not leave a great impression in that last game at all. Saw an injury icon here. It's on Benji Cormier. Potentially something to keep an eye on there. What are y'all playing these days? Sometimes February is a good time to be catching up on the backlog, but I still feel like we're getting pretty interesting games coming out regularly. I mean, it feels every week there's a new JRPG that I got to add to my list of stuff to eventually pick up. I woke up today. You know what I fired up? Guitar Hero World Tour. I'm really getting back into Guitar Hero and Rock Band a lot more recently. I've been watching more YouTube content of it, and I used to play a lot. I used to be, you know, not decent by internet standards, but like I could play expert and stuff like that. But I wasn't like FCing, you know, difficult songs or anything like that. But I love those games so much, and I'm getting more and more into the music from those games, so it's been a blast, honestly. New Indiana Jones is awesome. That's what I hear. I don't think it looks bad, but I haven't like watched the gameplay and been like, I need to play that. But I've also never watched like an Indiana Jones movie or anything. I'm not really great at staying up on movies and stuff like that. I'm sure I'd like it. Because, like, I love Uncharted. Absolutely love Uncharted as a property. If it's like Uncharted, I should like it. I also like National Treasure a lot. Is it enough like those two things? I remember when I went to the Uncharted movie, it got me into the Uncharted mood a little bit, and I decided to buy these, and I've never even opened them yet. They're in nice condition, so I'm not trying. I just, you know, they're too nice to like open. I got the full DC Uncharted comics set here. I just like went to the movie, and that night in bed, I'm like, I need to buy everything Uncharted related. Merriweather gets 6. Path of Exile 2, Farming Simulator. I hear good things about those games, man. And I like some of the simulator games. Power Wash being my guilty pleasure. I put like 60, 70 hours into that a couple last year. 2023, really more so. Project Zomboid. Kingdom Come. Yeah, the KCD2 just came out. Metaphor Refantasio. Yep. Can't wait to crack mine open eventually and get around to it, but I'm in some other RPGs right now. Pokemon TCG. Yeah, like the Pokemon card game feels like it's so hot right now. Whenever I go to game stores, there is Pokemon stuff everywhere. I know they dropped a digital TCG game, which I think is what a lot of people are into right now. The TCG is just flying. What RPGs? Yakuza 7. I've also been playing Horizon here or there. Xenoblade Chronicles on the Switch. There are so many RPGs I want to get into right now. I'm in the mood to play everything. Got any Lego stuff, Kane? I have Lego 2K Drive, which I've played a little bit of and I like. I have the Lego Horizon game because I also love Horizon as a franchise, but I haven't played it and I haven't heard great stuff about the game. But do I like Horizon enough to enjoy it? I'm at work, but I'll watch later. Have a good stream. Appreciate that, Gary. Thank you for stopping by with the super chat. Were you a Lego Island kid? Oh my God, Lego Island was an absolute banger. Not only did I play Lego Island, but the PC I was playing it on, during like the racing sections, I swear it was outputting like 5 frames per second. And I didn't understand for the longest time that wasn't how it was meant to be. Ruben Ross, what are you doing? I told you he's raw. He puts the raw in Ross, okay? Yeah, Lego Island, man, it had a really good intro song. It was a really fun game. I would love to revisit it. Please remaster and sell it to me on Steam. Just the way they do with Backyard Baseball. I'm a student at the University of Buffalo, and it's cool seeing you do a dynasty of my team. It was a great pick. I'm glad I chose them. I always like it when guys wear unconventional numbers. Steve Smith, 89. Matt Pierre, 43. If you know, you know. I gave my best cornerback in Dynasty 47. That's the thing. These numbers weren't anything until someone made them what they are. You know, what's 23 without Michael Jordan? What's 84 without Randy Moss? It's not that 47's a bad number. It's that no one's made it great for the modern generation. I've never played Tarkov, no. A lot of those more online-oriented multiplayer games I have not played. I tend to play a lot more single-player games these days. So my multiplayer era is far behind me at this stage. I chased those, what's the phrase? Like chasing the dragon or something? Like when you're trying to chase a feeling you once had? What's the phrase? I did that for so many years because I grew up loving games like, you know, the Ratchet and Clank 3 online, SOCOM 1, 2, and 3 online, Gears of War. And after a while, I realized I wasn't getting it back. Took a long time, though, to accept it. .47 equals John Lynch. Definitely. I miss playing N64 Lego Racers as a kid. Yeah, I believe I had that on PS2. Yep. Lego Racers 2. I had the sequel. Like, Lego 2K Drive to me, I've played it a little bit, and I like it a lot. But, like, me as an 11-year-old would have 500 hours on that game. Because I was doing that in real life. I had a huge tub of Legos. Like, I would get Lego sets all the time. It was one of my favorite toys to get. And I would just put them all in a tub. You know, I'm not sure how I could ever make these sets anymore because they were just so intertwined with everything. One of those big, like, Christmas decoration storage tubs, just filled to the brim. And my favorite thing to do was to make vehicles out of them. Just make custom vehicles. I'd have, like, my cousin come over, and we would do, like, demolition derbies with our custom vehicles. And there's nothing I wanted to do more than that. Nice run being ripped off. Turned on my Nintendo Switch for the first time in a while. I'm playing Paper Mario, the Origami King. A lot of fun once you get the hang of it. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things, good and bad things about that one, but I've never really stuck with a Paper Mario game before. I would like to. There's a lot of Nintendo games I'd like to try, but there's no such thing as just like picking the old one up for $9 and trying it out. It's like always committing to a full price product, which, you know, I think that's a fine pricing strategy. You want to, you know, you value your product a certain way, but you're just missing consumers like me who are less likely to try things for 40, 50 bucks a piece. Mario Sunshine is the GOAT. I beat Mario Sunshine for the first time just last fall on the Switch. Overall, thought it was pretty fun. But I can totally see why it has a bit of a mixed reputation. Some things in it haven't aged great. Those non-flood levels, the pure platforming levels, where you can get game over and have to work your way back to it. Yeah, there were some times I thought I'd never play that game again doing that. Don't forget you played Lego City Undercover on the Wii U. Oh, it was so good, too. Yeah, I would love to revisit it one day. That's caught and running away from the defense. Down to the 11-yard line. They beat Cross. The one I have to really sit down with more is Galaxy. I have a feeling I'll like Mario 64. I've probably played like 10 hours of 64 in my life. And I think that the controls and how those have aged might keep me from like loving that game the way people did when that was such a groundbreaking title. The Galaxy games might land with me a bit better. I still don't know why they didn't bring back Galaxy 2 to the Switch. That's ridiculous that they only brought back the first Galaxy. Been playing AC Black Flag on Switch. I hear that port on the Switch is excellent. That's my favorite AC game. But I've also only played like a few. I have a lot of catching up to do on that series. Took me a while to really get interested. But AC4 is one of my favorites. I found this. I didn't know it existed, but I bought it when I saw it on eBay one day. They fake it? What was that? Or are they going for two? This is the AC4. What is it called? Is it like a collector's? It doesn't say like the name of it on here anywhere, but I think it's the collector's guide. And like, you know, I do collect games, but I don't generally get a lot of guides. But this one just seems so cool, and there's, you know, all sorts of cool stuff in here for AC4. So I'm like, all right, this is one of the games to get it for. I also have a really sick Halo encyclopedia that covers like everything before Infinite in pretty good detail. Yeah, there's like I think there's concept art and, you know, full guides and maps and stuff in here. Kind of like those old strategy guides, just a little bit, you know, fancier, I guess. Because it's actually like probably from the developers or whatever. Nice grab, Caleb Davis. Mario Odyssey is my GOAT. I really enjoyed Odyssey. For a while, I kind of thought that platformers were behind me. But then I got the itch last year to get into Sunshine, and it finally stuck with me. And then Astrobot came out, and I'm like, all right, this is officially my favorite 3D platformer of all time. This is unbelievable. Were you ever a Fortnite guy, Kane? No, when it first dropped, the BR portion of it, I was interested because I thought the Battle Royale concept was cool. But like in like the mid 2010s, we would hear stuff about like DayZ or H1Z1, and these were all like PC games. I'm not a PC guy. So one of the first Battle Royales to be available easily to access on console was Fortnite. So I think I tried it for a few games. So I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting. But I didn't really want to keep playing it or anything. And then it goes on to become like the greatest gaming phenomenon in the last decade. No, I was big, like 2020, I played a lot of Warzone. It's probably my second most played Call of Duty outside of Modern Warfare 2. Like, as an adult, I don't usually stick with these Call of Duty games. I get excited for them, play a little bit, get my fill and move on. Warzone, though, I poured a lot of hours into that. It was the last multiplayer game that I grinded. That is Joe Wilder with the touchdown. Nice throw from Baker. At this point, though, the multiplayer Battle Royale thing doesn't really appeal to me as much. Even when they bring back Verdansk, like, the stuff they do in Warzone now, like, it doesn't even sound like the same game. So many new added mechanics, and just not really interested. Yeah, Marvel Rivals is the new big one, but I don't know. I'm not really interested in multiplayer shooters, and I've never really watched... I've watched one superhero movie in my entire life, so I'm not really drawn in by superheroes. And it was Spider-Man, who I don't think is in a shooter. The only superhero movie I've watched is the first Spider-Man, and I watched it last year. And that's it. No, I've never seen Avengers or any of the big ones that have come out in the last 10 years. I didn't grow up with superheroes. The superheroes I had growing up were on the football field. So Detroit driving, little play action, and incomplete. Let's get the ball back. Yeah, I want to see when they drop that AC4 remaster. I hope it's a good one. 4th and 2, incomplete. I really hope they do that remake right. You don't got to do a whole lot. I think it was an excellent game on its own. Maybe if you can clean up any of the parkour and make it just feel a little bit more modern. Don't make it like required online to play single player type of game, which it's Ubisoft, so it's almost a guarantee they will do it. What are your thoughts on the Luka trade? When I saw that, I couldn't really believe it. That's the kind of news that drops, and it's like, that's why I can't put my phone down. What if I miss this happening? I think what was more bizarre was like watching Nico Harrison's, oh, what a catch! Wow, down inside the 10. The presser that Nico Harrison had afterwards just felt really bizarre. Like, his words didn't seem all that genuine about, like, why the trade was made. I wasn't convinced. It's not like a vision was laid out for why this is good for the franchise. Yeah, I'd love to play 2K again sometime. I really enjoy it. No, the trade that was rescinded was the one they did with the Hornets, right? For Mark Williams, who I don't know anything about. I just know the name because I saw the headline in the story. Jason Kidd looked absolutely miserable at that presser. What have I missed so far? Leo, it's basically been a good showcase for the receiver battle on this team. Caleb Davis, Kevin Parker have all had really good catches. The tight ends have looked really good. Everybody from Wilder, Easley, and Thomas Ridley have made plays. Not many highlights on the defensive side, unfortunately, and the running game has been slow to take off. So we'll see if that changes in Game 3. Delonte Reddick had a pick, though, in the end zone, so that is a nice highlight to have from the defense. Mark Williams has only played 80 games in 3 seasons. Yeah, so like I haven't been watching NBA. I like the NBA, but honestly, after football season, I just kind of want to take some time to, put my time elsewhere than just watching more sports all the time. I like to kind of focus more on just playing games and chilling that way. So I usually don't watch much NBA until the postseason. But it seems that now people are like, well, what are the Lakers going to do when it comes to the center position? Because this seemed like a trade they were kind of banking on for the short term, helping them. I know I've definitely missed some really good Anthony Edwards games lately. The Wolves have... It seems they've been playing better basketball than at the beginning of the season. Stream lagging a bit? It shouldn't be. Haven't had any performance issues on my end. Dropping... Well, maybe I am dropping frames. It's possible. As long as it doesn't persist. Yeah, 0 drop frames. So I don't know if it's something on YouTube's end. Yeah, let's upgrade Caleb Davis. Good slot player. Everybody in the chat's fighting over Myles Garrett. Y'all can't all have him. Any more updates on the MLB franchise thoughts? Nothing that's really changed or evolved. I'm still kind of feeling the same, group of teams, and the Rays I've talked about as being my favorite option so far. But no, only thing new with MLB is that I might have to find some time to at least check out Road to the Show in some capacity, as that has looked pretty interesting with the new high school and college gameplay. I at least want to see it and maybe do some streams of it. Yeah, Caleb Davis numbers are really good. CFB 25 playing off last few days. I use MAT 10 sliders, but CPU not throwing downfield, scrambling nonstop. I did the profile delete, but still feels off. Yeah, it felt off for me in the last game. I'm going to have to ask Matt what he thinks on a couple of those adjustments. I'm kind of experimenting a little bit to see if there's a way I can clean it back up, because I like the games the way they were before these last 2 updates. Every update ends up changing some things around, unfortunately. Let's check on injuries. We had an injury from last week. Josh Hines-Allen might miss the first week of the year. And let's get to preseason week 3. Garrett to the Dodgers. See, that's the truth right there. That's where he's going to end up without a doubt. With a deferred salary to 2055. How come you prefer the Rays over a worse team like the White Sox? I think just the chance to be in a new division for me, having a smaller budget, maybe not as much high-ranked prospects. I've done the AL Central before. I'm a Twins fan, so I'm familiar with things there. But over the years, I have not gotten to an AL East series, and I think being able to play against some of the tough teams year in, year out would be fun. Yankees and Orioles are excellent. Red Sox will always spend money. Toronto's going to spend money. The Rays spend less than all 4 of those teams. And they're just kind of doing it their way. Should baseball adopt a salary cap? I mean, personally, I like the idea of a salary cap and a salary floor. I also think that like the rules around deferred salary and how that is handled should be changed. See, what's different in MLB and, NBA to a degree that differs from the NFL is that there are regional TV contracts, whereas in the NFL, games are just on Fox and CBS, broadcasted, without cable. Whereas, MLB, they can sell a TV package to their market, which means that different markets are, more valuable than others. And so it lets teams play by very different rules. Not everybody has the same toolbox as the Dodgers or the Yankees. I'd like to see some tightening up of the financial side of it to even up that part of the playing field. Like the Rockies should be taken out of the West. They do not have access to that West Coast market and income. The Rockies have never won the NL West, and I doubt in my lifetime they ever will. The Rockies are like a 30-year-old franchise without a division title. Yet they have a World Series appearance. They've had some excellent teams. They have never won the West. Uh-oh, he's going down. Neil Hunter. Yeah, actually, like, given the way that the regional TV contracts are handled, the easiest way to watch your favorite team is to move out of the market and then just buy MLB TV. That's what I had to do because I don't live in the Minnesota market anymore. But I pay for MLB TV and I can get all their games that are not in against the Rangers or the Astros that way. That's the nice part too, is I get to live in two markets technically. So I need cable to watch the Rangers and the Astros. And like only one or two providers even have their channel. It's annoying. The Twins, though, they announced they're not going with a... Well, I'm sure they'll be picked up by cable in some capacity for that way of viewing. But the Twins are now going to the direct-to-consumer model, where I think it's like $100 for the year. Whatever it is. But I think you have to be in that market to even have access to it. It's not really relevant for someone like me who already lives outside the market. But the Twins TV package, I'm pretty sure it's like $100 for the season. Which, if you're in market, is a lot better than cable if all you're watching cable for is live sports. An entire industry is propped up solely by live sports. It allows all these other subgenres of content to exist. It's wild. Sports, like, subsidizes 95% of what's on TV. Over the middle and intercepted. Johnson's had a couple miscues here. I'm moving to Arizona. I'm actually excited I can catch Reds games now. Yeah. In some markets, you have like one option for the rights to watch certain channels. And it's only gotten worse over the years. I mean, like things like MLB Network haven't even been on YouTube TV lately. So I find myself having to bounce between services if I want Sunday Ticket. And then I want to watch all the MLB stuff. I don't have one service for that. Because Sunday Ticket's on one platform. Space City TV or whatever the Astros play on is only on a couple carriers. Nice job stuffing the run. Yeah, okay, because I brought back McCaffrey, I think, after Wicks, so, like, their numbers got swapped. And maybe for that reason I would change them back just so, like, Luke has the same number from last year. It would make more sense that way. Any running backs have running back skills, or any receivers have running back skills. Definitely Kevin Parker. Deep shot caught. Nice grab made by Wicks. Wearing number 86. He used to catch passes from Bo Nix. Knocking us out of the playoffs felt like getting kicked in the... You get me. Chuck Johnson on second down easily. Yeah, let's get more of Ridley in there. I don't need easily spraining an ankle right now. Like, if you're 27, I don't really need you to play in the playoffs or the preseason. I need you in the playoffs for sure. Good protection. Dumped off. It's Brian Thomas. Easily, he only shows up for 12 games a year, but he's good in those 12 games. Cormier in the eye now, running it inside. Easily catching another 7-yard pass. Would you change that about him? Nope, I like the predictability. Just hopped on, been watching since year 5 of Minnesota. Also, Roll Tide. Roll Tide. Actually, it's High Tide, according to that one commercial, right? High Tide, everybody. 3rd and 2. Thomas again. Underneath, first down. Are you going to say yes to the change that about me to a player just once? I think I have to for the bit and to just see what can happen. Cormier to the 2. For once, I do need to tell a player, like, indeed, I want you to change. Like, I actually don't like the way you are. I need you to change for me. Up the middle, Cormier into the end zone. Touchdown, Jags. Since Parker is the team player, I don't think he would be upset if you told him to change. And I like his top motivations. They fit us. So, no, I don't want him to change. I am a team player. Would you change that about me? Yes, be a diva, of course. Yeah, I would like it better if you caused a lot of locker room turmoil and questioned my actions to the media. I think that we thrive on that kind of adversity because we're so used to it now. Parker's number is number 3. What's on the menu tonight for the big game, guys? And if it's pizza, how many? Ryan Clark disagrees. Yes, Ryan Clark is the known, he calls the shots. He knows what's right and what's wrong in franchise. If Ryan Clark calls you out, your days are numbered. Pasta. Getting that pepperoni pizza. Zombie. Not sure I recommend that. Wings. Nachos. Wings. Chinese food. I like it. Shy of the marker. 8 pounds of wings. See, that's 8 pounds. Someone's hosting. Or is just really hungry. He's escaping. Nice run for Bucky. Tacos. Meatballs, sandwiches, and hope. I'm outside on the grill right now. I love that. 3 hours before. That's getting your work in early. Buffalo chicken dip. Please do a rebuild of my Jays. What do you mean? You guys got you got Anthony Santander and Max Scherzer. You're rebuilt now. Down goes the quarterback at Stanley Billups. Shrimp Alfredo. Now that is not like a typical Super Bowl food. You're definitely, blazing your own trail there. Gumbo. Someone is from New Orleans. Fine Cane. 5. Okay. He's running on 3rd down. Not very fast, but he gets there. Mexican food with my grandparents. Hey, I will never turn down an enchilada plate. Never happened. Deep drop on 1st down. Corner. Sacked. Loss of 9. Good old meatball subs. I've always been a meatball sub guy. Front Page Sports Football Sim. I've never heard of that. You had a player with a career-ending injury and a player who became a movie star. Where are these storylines coming from? We are all over him here. 8 pounds of wings is 5 pounds of bones and 3 pounds of meat. Is that accurate? Baked mac and cheese and some homemade wings. Can't go wrong with baked pasta, man. Just give me like an enchilada plate and a lasagna. I'll be pretty happy. But for us, it's going to be pizza for sure. I can't even picture watching the Super Bowl without pizza. And then a newcomer to the menu this year, chicken tortilla soup. And it's going to be incredible. I've become a huge chicken tortilla soup fan in the last 2 years. I can't get enough of it. Big party or no? No, don't usually have big parties. 3rd and 5, and Cormier wasn't ready for it. Actually from Texas, but my roommate is from Louisiana. Hey, you guys could put together a heck of a platter then with the two influences there. Trayvon Walker, and we are teeing off on David Corner. Good to see our pass rush minus their top rusher, annihilating him. Corner gets time. This time it's a gain of 8. Five sacks and a half for slow sim is crazy. It's almost as crazy as 6. Jonathan Moore. We might hit 10. How's the preseason been? Pretty good. I wouldn't say it's been like spectacular action-wise, but it's been good. It's been solid. The young playmakers are playmaking. Definitely some highlights to show. But in terms of like position battles, surprise breakouts, maybe like a lack of surprise is all. We've seen Caleb Davis play well again. So he's going to make the team. Yeah, what is their offensive line at this stage? Because I'm not sure we've ever looked nearly this strong. The Bucks have Tristan Wirfs. Okay, he's pretty good, right? Best left tackle in the game probably. Damian Lewis, 74. Graham Barton, 85. Miguel Matias, 87, and Luke Goedeke. This is a really good line outside of like a left guard being 74. We're playing well against the good line. Caleb Davis is a slot wide receiver. Picked him up last year, looked good enough to make the team. Back again, good enough to make the team. A second straight season. My time clock settings are 11 minutes and 20-second runoff. A minute to go. And Brian Thomas continuing to do most of his work underneath. Where's Parker? Why is he not out there? Thomas gets lit up. Let's see if anything's up with Kevin Parker. No, I guess something happened with my depth chart. Because I have Parker there, and for slot, flipped on me. get to the second half. One more quarter with the starters is what we have. All right, Chuck, take us to the end. There is Dontavian Wicks. Parker out there as number 3. And missed him. Chuck Johnson out in front. What's on my wish list for CFB 26 says Joe Johnson breaks through with a good run. Primarily just like off the field depth. I would like to see some more difficulty, even a toggle for difficulty when it comes to recruiting. I would like to see player deal breakers be a little more dynamic and change throughout their careers. I think players should be transferring a lot more often because of playing time concerns. I would like to see a far deeper experience in Road to Glory as far as, you know, what your player does off the field. Cormier now with a good run. I would like to see them bring back the high school portion of Road to Glory. I want them to add the trophy case back into the game where you can store all of the championships you've won throughout your time playing college football. I would like a better way of the way they handle the conference schedule and the home road splits, and maybe offer a little more control over like the teams you're facing, especially with all these big conferences. You know, when you have a 20-team conference, it's hard. I guess you can have protected rivals. But I think having maybe some more manual control inside of the schedule would be a nice boost there. I'll have Buffalo wrapped up before CFB 26. I don't like my stuff to overlap anymore. Joe Johnson. Oh, he ran through a defender. Pressure coming. Johnson takes the sack. Yeah, I think that rivalries need, we need ways to create new rivalries and track those results. I also think in recruiting there needs to be a degree of like players, you know, maybe changing their minds more often. I also think that for transfer portal players, they need to get their development for that year so they're not just losing a year of getting better. Glad you can catch the stream here, Chaos. Yeah, overall, I like playing the game a ton. I enjoy Dynasty. But there are some layers that really need to get put back into the game. A lot of it is stuff that we've had before. Yeah, Team Builder. I think the ability to edit like the roster from the website is an absolute must. That was a feature that made a series like Kalispell possible. And Team Builder in general just seemed to be a lot easier to use back then with far less issues in the actual website. Yeah, I like to see development traits matter more. I do like they've done some different things with like skill caps and the development trait more so controlling how fast the player gets. But maybe more ways to alter a player's skill caps so that it's possible for us to get some higher rated players without jacking up the like XP sliders. You know, they went very different than I thought they would. Nice play, Billups. They went a very different route than Madden. And at first, I was confused by it. The whole skill point system and how we don't apply those skill points. I thought, like, oh, that's odd. Don't they want us to apply those manually? But I don't mind it being this system. I'm cool with that. It's less, you know, stuff for me to mess with, and players are still getting better. Cormier, good run. I do think they need to explain systems better in the next game. Like, obviously, we know a lot now from playing and YouTube videos being out and people figuring things out. But there were a lot of things that were unexplained when it came to player development, when it came to hard selling versus soft selling versus send the house, and how those points are not equal. Yeah, I would like to see XP breakdowns on a player's player card like are in Madden. So you can see the XP they get from the snaps they played, the touches they got, the touchdowns they scored, every little bit of it. A little more clarity on how to truly develop players would be nice. Because right now, players are just kind of getting better. There's the fullback dive. Players are getting better, but it feels very behind the scenes. If they could put in imagine they could put in a menu. This has existed in past Maddens and other games, but a player progression screen where you could see a player's ratings start of the year versus end of the year, and you can track growth that way. That'd be really cool. I would like the ability to come back, which I don't think is going to happen right now, but export team so that you can take a team from Dynasty and export them to play with in Play Now or to import into another Dynasty would be really cool. Imagine you build up a powerhouse team for 10 years, but you want to do something new. You export your team, say you were Ohio State. Now Ohio State in Dynasty is your Ohio State, and you can play alongside them. There goes Davis again. Yeah, morale system I think would be cool. I don't think they'd go super deep with it as far as like players getting arrested and suspended. But especially because it's like real college athletes, I don't think they'd want to do that, especially to like non-professionals. But a morale system based on different things like playing time, team success would be cool. Baker Mayfield. He completes it to Reuben Ross, and it's 4th and 1. Why are we kicking? What needs to change in Madden? Storylines, for one. I do not like the implementation very much. I think Madden, like, they've added some good things to the game, but not all these features work as they should, and many of them need to get ironed out, and the storylines are the greatest example of that currently. They are oftentimes confusing, simply wrong, and aren't often satisfying. Which is the greatest, crime you can do there, is just adding something to the game that is not fun to interact with. And I wouldn't mind even seeing Madden eventually transition to a player development system closer to college football, where it's more automatic and not the points-based system. It's okay. It's been the same system here for a while. I guess I preferred it to like manually increasing each rating because I think it plays out a little more realistically. But I think we need to find a new type of player development system, at least a tweaked version in Madden, so that players aren't just always getting better or regressing. Like, how about players just plateauing? That's now captured in college football 25. That's a sack. 8 on the day now. You know, the fact that in Madden, like, 21-year-old receivers at the same development all develop the same way in terms of how much XP they need. I feel like the depth they have in 2K should be more the goal, where players have their primes and they have their breakout age, and it's less uniform across the board. I think that's better. I think when everything is uniform and follows the same rules, that's when the game loses a lot of its personality and it feels very samey. Nice return here by Singh. Give up the middle. Howard. A nice run of 7. I like to see more out of the AI in the offseason in terms of potential trades to make their team better. And like a better way for the teams to approach the way they handle trades. Like identifying where they are as a team. What moves make sense given whether they're a rebuild team or a win-now team. Because like teams in Madden are not making blockbuster trades. They are only trading really those players who are on the trade block. Players that are conceivably expendable. They don't trade up in the draft anymore. They once did. That should come back. Whoops, what happened? My live streaming page just crashed. Wilder inside the 20. Who is 91? I forget who's wearing that right now. Yeah, basically, I want every cool feature that's inside of 2K and has been there for years. I want the ability to make an expansion team. Badly. I want the ability to edit certain rules in the franchise, like you can in 2K. Like, what if you had the ability to say, okay, pass interference is no longer a spot foul. It's 15-yard penalty. Different things like that. Or the ability to just do things for fun, like reorganizing the divisions and the conferences. Changing playoff format and truly making the league your league. What about no conferences with an 8-team playoff, you know, like just the ability to really customize it, and I think just give us more of a playground to tackle franchise with. Yeah, mods make a lot of this possible, but I want it in the game. I want it on all platforms. I want to do it in September, not in November or December when mods finally come out. Down he goes. That's Jermaine Johnson, I'm pretty sure, who is looking pretty good here against the second string players. Oh boy, Daniil Hunter. These are the edge rush veterans I picked up, Hunter and Johnson. Got the Buccaneers struggling to do anything. I think we have a 10-sack game now. Fourth down, 25, and it's knocked down. Well played, defense. Bottle up Howard there pretty well. Yeah, what about editing season length inside a franchise, too? Like, there are so many potential options if they just give us the tools. Inside give. Not much for Merriweather. 25-game season. Sure, let people do what they want to do. 25-game seasons, everybody gets hurt, all the records are broken. Why not? Up the middle, Howard inside the 5. And just a couple minutes to go here in preseason year 5. I'm looking to get this new season started up early this week. Either Monday or Tuesday. I'm not exactly sure on the day yet. But I do want to get as much of the Jags done as possible before MLB comes out. And I now have a new game to put a lot of my focus on. So I know we're still over a month away from that game dropping. And we'll see what we're able to accomplish here. I think that we have a fun, developing team, but will we be able to break out for that postseason success we're in search of? Got our first playoff win last year. Do we take a step forward this season, or do we take a step back? Man, this is unbelievable. They've been sacked like 12 times, and there have been missed chances. Oh, boy. Like, imagine you could edit in your franchise, like, the draft order to create, like, a draft lottery or something. These are not things that I would do, necessarily. But I think it would make things interesting if there was at least options to edit your league and spice things up. Taking off and diving in, touchdown. Like, obviously, this would not make sense to do in real life. But what if in Madden, you could do like a little 4-team tournament at the end of the year? It's the worst 4 teams in the league in franchise. And they have like a little mini tournament, and the winner gets the #1 pick. There would be people who would have fun playing with that. If you could just have these goofy ideas. 19-13, Jaguars victorious. Chuck Johnson, 22 of 27. Cormier had 37 yards. Ryan Thomas, 73. And I think we're getting into the season mostly healthy. I mean, that is just ridiculous right there. That's a lot of quarterback sacks. Do CPU coaches get fired in Madden? Yeah. That is an option you can toggle on and off. They can also retire. I'll save these upgrades for the next episode. So I said it would be determined by yards per carry, which means that we should see Benji Cormier be the right answer for that. So this is the storyline where I'm trying to get our XP. I can get our morale back to 50 by doing this correctly. So I have Cormier listed as the halfback 1. I'll say, yeah, he won it because of this reason. And that should get our morale back to normalized again. Yeah, you used to be able to export your team, and just imagine being able to export multiple franchise teams and then like do a little tournament with them. There were more ways in these older games to have fun. Like the games today in a lot of ways have improved, and there's so much more quality of life and just things that have gotten better over the years. But back in the day, they really did try to give you more options for having fun. Whereas everything seems a lot more like you have 2 lanes you can choose now. You play franchise the standard way, you play ultimate team. You know, those are the 2 ways to play the game. It feels like that's it. I used to love in the old Madden games, they had the ability to create custom leagues. So you could start up like a 12-team tournament, and you could choose, is it single elimination? Is it double elimination? Is it double round robin? It had its own standings, its own stat tracking, and it was like a little mini league. It was 1 season long, but it could be however many teams you wanted. You could do fantasy draft inside of it. It was super cool. Hey, what's going on, Midnight? Glad you could pop in here for a little bit. I want at least 2 good running backs I can rely on. So no, I'm not looking to trade Johnson. Like, we said it was supposed to be yards per carry, and Cormier had more yards per carry than the other running backs. Unless they're saying Chuck Johnson won because he has the higher yards per carry. But I'm just going to say yes because I want to get my morale back. This is kind of my little cheap way of doing it. The entire team gets +5. Last year, y'all gave me +10, right? I'm getting cheated out of 5 morale, I feel like. It said 5, but it gave us 10. Like, there are so many things here that just need to really get cleaned up, man. The game says one thing and does another constantly. Midnight, we are at the end of preseason now. I'm going to go through the numbers so we can see a little bit of what happened there. But I guess long story short here with the morale situation, it's where we want it to be now. We're going into the year with only 1 player hurt, and that's Josh Hines-Allen, who when we sim to the next week, week 1, he should only miss week 1. So Martin Cooper and Trayvon Walker will start the first game of the year. We have media interview. I might do this one because I think this is the consequence-free one, right? We talk all the time about a team's identity. What can fans expect from your defense this season? I'm saying create turnovers and sacks. You know, we had 12 sacks in that last preseason game. What would a successful season look like to me? 40 sacks. Well, that's what I said, right? 18 picks is ridiculous to predict. 40 sacks, though, extremely doable. That's only 2 to 3 a week. Any good practice squad pickups? I'm not sure anybody stood out in a major way because some of those more intriguing players are actually going to make the team. I do like the little story here about Ryan Radovich that I am covering up right now. I think those touches are nice. It's easy to overlook the stories because, like, they're just taking up a small portion of the screen. Even I guess the news feed here does have a little bit more, but it feels like they've really scaled this back when I think that it should be more fleshed out, and I should be able to sort by various, season, like rookie stories and just like general team stories, draft stories. Now it's like kind of just there, and every year it seems they take a little bit away from it. All right, so the quarterbacks, were pretty good in the preseason. A couple bad takeaways thrown by Chuck Johnson, but nothing we're panicking about. Then we had Joe Johnson for 46 yards. I mean, the rushing numbers really weren't great. I don't think Joey Howard then ends up making the team. Did not see enough, doesn't catch the football well. So that experiment is going to not work out for him. At receiver, Caleb Davis is going to make the team for the second straight year. He has impressed enough in preseason to get a spot. He was our leading receiver. Brian Thomas had 14 catches. Kevin Parker, 8 for 131, 16 yards a reception. Thomas Ridley had 5 for 108. The plan is to open with him as the tight end 2 and Easley as the primary. Dontavian Wicks had 10 catches. Reuben Ross had 7. I think Ross opens as the kick returner and probably the lowest ranked receiver on the depth chart. Depends if Singh ends up making the team. But I would play Davis and McCaffrey over him right now in like a trying to win capacity. I think they're better. Danielle Hunter played well in the preseason. Martin Cooper, 2.5 sacks. Jermaine Johnson. Front 4 looks ready to go. Stanley Billups had 3 pass deflections. Only 1 interception in the end zone. That was Delonte Reddick, the rookie. Interceptions are valuable for defender development. The interception was worth 230 experience. Five punts all preseason. That's actually one of the most impressive stats. We didn't even punt twice a game in the preseason. Yeah, Parker to me looked really good. Even better than I would have expected with the difficult plays he was making. He just looked like a player you have to get the ball to. So we definitely will be seeing him early on. And in that next episode, I will be comparing the ratings to a day 1 Eli Arrington, and they are very similar. Arrington better in some areas, but I think the chances of him replacing Eli over the long term are pretty decent. Very similar starting points, hidden development. Who knows? Maybe we get lucky and he has more than star, but at this point, I don't usually bank on it. I just get pleasantly surprised when I do run into Superstar or X Factor. It feels, though, that Star Dev players are the vast, vast, vast majority of Hidden Dev. And, the higher ones are usually, the generational, the more obvious players. Team looks better than ever. 8-9 season incoming. And that could legitimately happen. That's the nature of the beast when you play in a tough conference and you're playing a lot of one-score games. A couple plays don't go our way. That's the difference between being 10-7 and 8-9. Now let's see, in terms of cap space, we are going into the year with around 7. Not a ton. And then these are the players whose contracts are a topic for this year. All right, Chuck Johnson is there, wanting $40+ million a season. Has he earned this contract? Good thing he wants to return, so the decision is at least up to us. But thankfully, the Jaguars are a playoff contender. He wants to play for a playoff contender. So if that status changes, it might impact what it has to, what it would take to bring him back. Trayvon Briscoe. Who wouldn't want a 79 overall 24-year-old star dev guard for $7 million? I would sign him to a 4-year deal. Curtis Easley. JD Short's contract is going to be up, and at normal dev, we're going to have a decision to make there. Jonathan Moore is a free agent, another high-rated normal dev player who's undoubtedly good, but $25 million a year is what he's looking for. Andre Cisco, the safety who's been reliable throughout. Is he still going to be a $10 million a year player at the end of the year? Oh yeah, Dudley Alexander. He was a UDFA pickup that happened to have star development. Just kind of lucked into that. So might want to stash him. Martin Cichkowski, I think, is a trade candidate, as he doesn't want to come back. So yeah, there's plenty of cap space to play with, looking ahead to like the contracts that these are relevant for. But if we just do some simple math and say Johnson's at like 42, Briscoe is at like 7, and then, you know, let's say Short comes back, we're more like 12 million, and then we sign Jonathan Moore, that's 25. That's only 86 million. We'd still have a lot more space. So the re-signing should be pretty easy if I want it to be. Yeah, developing Dudley isn't a bad idea, as our cornerback depth is made up of a lot of normal dev players, and then he's here 21 years old. You know, he could work his way into being the next man up whenever there's an injury. So I think his roster spot's going to be safe. I'm also intrigued too with DeAndre Barrett, seeing if he can develop into a future starter. The man and zone coverage are both mid-60s, 67 tackle, and he's fast enough to be asked to cover deep. So I think it's more of a multi-year project to even become like where Nick Cross is. But I see him as a capable backup safety, and maybe he's starting by the last year of his deal or has a chance to get on the field. Hoping we can develop Reuben Ross as well. Does the kick return stuff have a ton of value? Kick return yards are not nearly as valuable as like actual scrimmage yards you'll see here. Like 5 rushing yards is worth 50% more than 25 kick return yards. So I do need to find a way to get him a little bit of playing time if I want this to work out. But the routes need work. The hands need work. Probably too much to do in a year. But I think the goal would be that he could start contributing next year. And maybe we no longer need a Luke McCaffrey on the team. Ross takes on that like 4th receiver role. And given we have injuries in this series and guys get spot starts, like that's the fun part. These players are thrown into opportunities they don't often get when it comes to series where there aren't a lot of injuries. So then you have a whole world of possibilities when those guys get on the field. So that is going to do it for the preseason. Thank you all for coming to the stream. I really appreciate it. Hopefully this was a fun way to kick off your Super Bowl Sunday. If you wouldn't mind leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, I would appreciate it. And this week, expect more of the Jags franchise. We get into year 5. I'm also going to be concluding the Miami Dynasty. I dropped a video yesterday. I know not as many interested in that series right now, but the video I dropped yesterday does have a lot of action. The next video I drop, which will probably be the finale, also has a lot of action. So if you want to see the conclusion to the Miami Hurricanes Dynasty rebuild, that is partially available right now. Main channel, youtube.com/MrHurricane, has my Buffalo Bulls Dynasty. Plenty of hours of content there. I'm sure most of you are aware. Thanks for coming, everybody. I'll see you later. Have a great day.